Hi there, I'm here with Mark Vester, the global leader circular economy for the petrochemicals giant Sabic. Mark, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you, Richard. Indeed, my name is Mark Vester, work for Sabic. I'm in the industry for 32 years. Most of my experience is in the petrochemicals industry and the plastics value chain. I've been in R&D and manufacturing and in business. And indeed, more recently, I'm now responsible for building a global circular economy at Sabic.
Circular economy, that's a big phrase at the moment. What does that mean for business at the moment?
Well, circular economy, what it stands for, when you think about it, first is, of course, keeping materials in the loop, in the value chain, letting nothing go to waste. But also making sure that you use the minimum amount of resources, fossil feedstock, fossil energy. And as a business, for us in the plastic value chain, that means that the feedstock is no longer naphtha, condensate, ethane, but it is mixed plastic waste. Mixed plastic waste is a circular feedstock. And when you think more about the sustainability aspect of the circular economy, it also means that we try to replace fossil feedstock also with renewable feedstocks. Okay,
brilliant. And what does this transformation mean on a global and societal level?
Yeah, what you see is that in general the consumer awareness of some of the global mega trends. And not just the awareness, but maybe also the concern. When you think about waste or climate change or health-related issues is only increasing. You see more and more awareness and concerns, which are also stimulated by NGOs and media. There's much faster communication and exchange of ideas on these subjects, and what that kind of means is that also from that consumer there's an increasing amount of pressure on the regulator to respond to that, and those two forces, the consumer and the regulator, again put a lot of pressure on brand owners to respond to these concerns and changes in the regulation, and that has a lot of impact on the different value chains. So what you see is that ESG is becoming ever more important for businesses as a consequence of these mega trends, and industries going forward increasingly will need to be more transparent on what they do, on what they set themselves as objectives, as targets to achieve, and also how they are progressing in achieving these targets and objectives.
Mark, as global leader circular economy within Sabic, what does this mean for your business and day-to-day operations?
It has a big impact. If you just think of exchanging the feedstock that typically comes in large boats or through pipeline. And now suddenly you talk about mixed plastic waste as a circular feedstock, which is distributed and comes in a complete different form and different density. That has such a big impact. Also, the technologies to transform this feedstock into products is changing. So technology developments that are different than the traditional processes we use. And also our market offerings change. So we go to the market with circular offerings that come from a complete different feedstock, and you need to explain that to customers. You need to explain also where the feedstocks come from and why it is good to do it. What's the footprint? Is it more sustainable? Yes or no? So the whole interaction with the market, both upstream towards your suppliers, but also downstream to your customers, is changing dramatically. So this has a big impact on our day-to-day business.
And Sabic is a truly global organization present in 50 countries with 32,000 employees. How do you organize transformation at such a large company?
Yeah. Well, what I like to think is that Sabic as a large multinational is almost like a mammoth tanker. That's a huge organization, a huge company with huge businesses, and now we are experimenting in a circular economy space. It almost means like that this mammoth tanker has to somehow continue. Business continuity is very important for this mammoth tanker, but somehow you need to experiment and you need to kind of float off speedboats that try things and maybe sometimes fail. And then you let off more speedboats, you try new things, and sometimes you strike and you have success, and you need to build on that success. And at some point, you then also need to onboard it again on this mammoth tanker. So the way we approach that is that, yes, we do set a team separately from the running organization of our mainstream business, but we make it part of the overall business, because in the end it needs to land in the existing business. You don't want to create two separate businesses that are going out into the same market to the same customers. That has to be one. So it needs to be part, in our case, of the existing business, and you want to create a small core that is agile and that goes out and tries things and develops this new business gradually, but also makes sure that it also gets embedded into the existing mainstream business.
And at a multinational company like Sabic, what sort of people will you need to hire and have in your company to make it a more circular economy focused business?
Yeah. Apart from, let's say, the more traditional things, like you want, of course, the best people. You also need to have people that are engaged, people that have sufficient entrepreneurial spirit to try new things. You don't need people that mind the shop. You need to have people that are willing to stick out the neck. So I would say one aspect is risk appetite. I think that is kind of where it comes together. People need to have the risk appetite to step into this. And I think when you have the right engagement also for the subject, you're automatically inclined also perhaps to take a little bit more risk. And perhaps the other most important aspect of people that we like to see in our teams is people that can also act as an advocate for this, these small new nucleus that you try to generate in this big company. People that can advocate, people that can help also to communicate and to drive change management within the large corporation, in order also that this large mainstream business understands what's going on, feels part of it, helps to build it, and also onboards it, buys into it as a business.
Okay, and at Sabic, you work with a number of partners on circular economy initiatives to develop new processes and innovations. How important is collaboration in developing a circular economy?
It is crucial. No single company can transform such a value chain by itself. So there's all kind of cooperations are needed, even between petrochemical companies also, in associations, to make sure that the regulation is supportive for some of the new developments, but also with small entrepreneurs that are pioneering with new technologies and with new solutions. Often these entrepreneurs can move more fast than we can as a large company. Next to that, there are so many different ways to approach the circular economy in terms of technologies, but also different business models. That is very good to engage with these entrepreneurs, these small, medium enterprises. And maybe last but not least, also in a circular setting for a traditional large linear value chain as we are, you also need to onboard new competencies. And these are often easier and faster to onboard by working together with other partners than to do everything by yourself. Maybe a good example of that is that for petrochemical companies, the whole waste collection, sorting, and treatment is something that historically, typically, we were not so much engaged in. But going forward, we have to be, because that's what a circular economy is about.
Yeah. And in your view, why should businesses consider transforming their operations and developing a circular strategy?
Yeah, I think we started off by saying what is the context, and we see that ESG is getting ever more important. So also when I look at circular economy in Sabic, for example, we have a wide corporate sustainability agenda that is looking at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We have selected from those 17 goals the 10 that we feel we can make the biggest contribution to. And when you look at those 10, and when you look then at circular economy, you see that circular economy is one of the elements of the wider corporate sustainability program that is needed in order to fulfill your contribution to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and the requirement to focus more on ESG aspects in your business. And of course, it's not only circular economy. Our examples, for example, are related to renewable energy and to electrification of our assets. But circular economy definitely is a important pillar of the wider corporate sustainability agenda of a company like Sabic.
And where do you feel a business should start when developing a circular strategy?
I would say start to understand first the market in terms of what are consumer expectations, what are the regulatory developments that will be driving the value chain, where are your direct customers going. So try to understand that context first, and then try to envision how that will impact your value chain. How could a circular economy in your value chain look like? Try to vision that. Try to understand what the drivers are. How can you be successful in such a circular setting? And then last but not least, try to understand what your specific company, how you could best position your company within such a circular setting of your value chain. How can you create success in such a value chain for your company? I think those are probably the 3 steps that I would see as a first step towards a strategy for a circular economy business.
And how do you measure a company's progress to developing a circular strategy?
In our case, and maybe that can be generalized, I would say that an obvious measurement is how much do we recycle, and what is the recycled content in the solutions that we bring to the market. Another measurement is how much of our feedstock is still fossil or replaced with renewable feedstocks. And in the end, I think the bottom line measurement is in the end your footprint. How is your footprint reducing over time?
Mark, what do you view the roadblocks and potential barriers that we need to overcome to develop a circular economy?
Well, from my experience over the last couple of years in this space, coming from our mainstream business into this role, there's quite a few, and perhaps it is best characterized by one word, and that is uncertainty. And uncertainties are never good for businesses. They don't create the right investment climate. But the uncertainties you can think of are uncertainties in terms of regulation. Are we developing the right regulatory context that is supportive, that is sufficiently harmonized across the countries, especially in Europe, for example? That is one element of uncertainty, but also in this kind of dynamic environment with so much pressure on the value chain, there's a lot of new developments also in terms of technologies, where new things and new opportunities come up. And if you have to make big commitments that we often talk about in petrochemical industries, it's quite capital intensive, then these kind of uncertainties, they are not the best foundation of such large decisions. And then maybe last but not least, in a circular value chain, the relationships between suppliers and customers and companies in between are going to change. And that means also that potentially there is also space for new business models. So how is the winning business model in a circular value chain going to look like? Those are all uncertainties that make it somewhat uncharted territory that we're going into with a circular economy business. But in the end, that also make it a big challenge, a big opportunity, and a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Mark, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and we'll speak again soon.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.